السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. طبعا الفيديو ده بيتكلم عن أنواع القطط البريدز الموجودة المنتشرة. هو حاجة دوكيومنتري يعني. آه، بقالنا فترة ما تقابلناش. الفترة اللي جاية إن شاء الله هيبقى فيه فيديوهات كتير. نصايح مربين القطط، البيت أنيمالز بشكل عام. آه، برضو لللارج اللي احنا كنا متبنينها في الأول، وحاجات هيبقى فيه حاجات للدواجن برضو. احنا بس الفترة اللي فاتت دي كان عندنا شوية ظروف وشوية حاجات عشان كنا بنأسس شركة وبنأسس عيادة وبنأسس صيدلية. بس إن شاء الله الفترة اللي جاية يبقى الوضع أحسن من كده بكتير، ونبقى معاكم باستمرار. وهيبقى في لايفز كمان للاستشارات أو كده، على سواء كان على اليوتيوب أو على التيك توك أو حتى على المنصات الباقية زي الانستجرام والفيسبوك. فتابعونا بس إن شاء الله، والفترة اللي جاية يكون في حاجات كويسة.
Although the modern cat dates back about 12 million years, it was the last of all animals to be domesticated, because unlike a horse, cow, or even a dog, a cat was of little known use to man. And so it would remain until 4,500 years ago, when the ancient Egyptians discovered that cats had taken a fancy to the succulent mice that roamed their granaries. Immediately ingratiating themselves to royalty because of their hunting prowess and bewitching grace and beauty, cats were loved and deified by the Egyptians. Named Mao for the meow sound that the cat makes, the animal that had been solitary and independent for millions of years began to enter courts and ordinary households alike, slowly accepting the company of human beings. Today, the cat is one of the most common house pets and enjoys a popularity that equals that of a dog. Divided into short hair and long hair categories, there are over 40 different recognized breeds in North America, each with its own traits and personality. When purchasing a cat, you should look for a breed with characteristics and needs that match your temperament and lifestyle. For instance, some breeds, such as Persians, are placid, lovable companions, but take more time to care for because they require a daily combing. While others, like the Siamese, require little grooming, but tend to be active and high-strung and demand lots of affection. The following presentation was developed to help you find the ideal companion to match your temperament and lifestyle, and features 20 different breeds of cats. Please bear in mind that many of these breeds are available in other colors in addition to the one you'll be viewing on screen.
The Abyssinians originated in India, in and around the Bay of Bengal. They claim that they've been there since just about forever. People claim thousands of years. I question that. The Abyssinian is an extremely active cat, if not one of the most active. It is not the kind of cat that you leave in a house unattended. If you're into home renovating, it will help you. If you're into playing with your cars, it will help you. They love computers and will try to take over there as well. The Abbey is a very unique cat in that it's what is known in the cat fancy as a ticked cat. The fur is layered by color. If you were able to take a single strand of Abbey fur, you would find that at different places on that strand there were different colors, and this is what they call the ticking. There are 4 terms used for Abbeys. There are sorrel, there are ruddies, there are fawns, and there are blues. And in each case, it talks about the shades in the various places on the strands of fur. They only speak when they've got something to say. They don't go around just babbling. I'm of the opinion all cats are indoor cats. The problem is that they're such individual creatures that if they get outdoors, danger can come to them very quickly because of their attitudes. So, in my opinion, there is no such thing as an outdoor cat. It's a family cat for an active family. Again, if the family likes to sit and watch television, the Abbey will be standing in front of the screen trying to get you to do something else. The Abbeys are active and they like an active family. They're excellent with children because children tend to be active, so they fit into the Abbey's way of doing things very well. They're very well with other pets, except that they tend to run the other pets. Other cats, pets, dogs, whatever, don't realize that the Abbey's running everything. The Abyssinians are normally excellent travelers. When we bring them to the shows, we have one young lad who sits in my lap most of the way. He prefers to look around, see what's going on, and just generally enjoy the trip. They're very low maintenance cats. There isn't much to do in the way of cleaning up after them. They don't shed much, and they normally don't need much in the way of grooming. With a bit of health care and with some good breeding and some intelligent ownership, they can live into the late teens.
It's a natural mutation to the Siamese. It's a long-haired Siamese. It's been recognized in the States and in Canada. In Canada, 15 years. In the States, about 30 years. They originally came from England, actually, and they were born like even 100 years ago in litter of full-bred Siamese. Now, being the purists that they were, they would destroy them or pet them out because they would not recognize them. So, and then a lady from California actually brought them down. Then she went to England, was very interested. And she's the one actually that made the breed well known to America. They're very playful. They're quite similar to the Siamese, except they're not hyper. They're a very gentle cat. They're very family oriented, actually. Very, very affectionate. They live in groups, definitely. They're pack rats, actually. They're great cats. Very docile too. They travel actually very well because, I travel a lot with my cats, and I'm telling you, I've had the odd one of them that didn't travel, and it's quite painful when you have to be 10 hours in a car. No, they do travel very well. Show cats usually get adapted to that very well. Every cat to me, does not matter the breed or indoor. I really protect animals a lot, especially cat, because I love them dearly, and they should never be outside. We do not live in a world today that our cats should be let out, unless they're protected and you're there. No, indoor, definitely. They are vocal. They talk, but they're not loud. They do not have the screechy voice of the Siamese. We do have a dog at home, and my cats are brought up with the dog, and they do love the dog, actually, and they actually boss her around, and she's a big dog. Yeah, they own the house. You don't own your house anymore once you have a Balinese. Healthy, good Balinese can live anywhere from 12 to 15 to 16 years, actually. Very similar to the Siamese, which actually, if it's a healthy one, has got quite a long life. And as breeder, we try to make sure that they're not inbred, because this is what causes a lot of health problems, and that they actually live very long by taking proper care as well, like their shots annually and everything, and tested for leukemia and all these things that a good breeder should do. If you're a little bit lazy, it's great because they have no undercoat. The coat is made of, it's very, very silky, very fine coat, no undercoat, and actually what mats on a cat is the undercoat. And there's we say they're about 90 to 95% non-shedding. And it's great, and the great thing about it, although they do not require brushing, they just love being brushed, which is great. Ideal owner is somebody that cares, that wants to love and be loved. That's the ideal owner to me.
The Bengal breed was originally developed in California from a hybrid of an Asian leopard cat to a domestic cat. The Asian leopard cat is a small leopard like an ocelot or a margay, but it comes from China rather than South America, and it's also a little wild cat that's not endangered. And they used to be sold in pet stores as pets, and this one lady named Jean Mill purchased one, and it bred her domestic cat. She assumed that the offspring would be sterile, like most hybrids are, but the females are actually fertile. Once they get to the fourth generation, you have both fertile males and females, and you have a new breed, and those are the ones that we're showing now. The breed started about 14, 15 years ago. It's only been recognized for showing in Canada for about the last 6 years. In the United States, about 8 or 9 years. In one word, they're very outgoing, very social, they love people, they are into everything, very busy, very active. They're not a cat that just lies around all the time. They're wanting to be with you and on you and helping you type and helping you do the dishes. They're very, very personable cats. They travel very well. They seem to be very adaptable. And if you take them in a car, they'll stand and look out the window like a dog rather than hiding under the seat and screaming like most cats will. They can be vocal if you teach them to be vocal. I don't like my cats to be noisy, so I don't reward them when they make a lot of noise. If you get a new kitten and it cries and you pick it up, it learns within 2 days that by meowing a lot it gets attention. So they're very intelligent and they're not naturally noisy, but you can teach them to be pretty noisy. The Bengal is a very good cat with children. They're very tolerant. They will take an awful lot of abuse, and if they need to get away, they'll struggle away without using their claws. There's really not a lot of grooming or brushing involved with a Bengal because they have a single pelt-like coat. There's no undercoat, so they really don't shed very much. Just petting them is mostly enough to keep them shiny, maybe brushing them down with a chamois every once in a while, but they really don't require brushing. Bengals live average at cat years, which would be approximately 14 to 18 years. Some might go a little bit more, others go less if they happen to be in contact with diseases that are common to cats. The Bengal is a breed that's extremely tolerant, and because of its high intelligence and the hybrid health that it tends to have, it makes a very good family pet. The ideal owner for a Bengal would be a person who's around quite a bit, who's willing to spend a lot of time with their cat, because the Bengal will demand their attention, and somebody who's willing to pick up on the cat's wants for new toys and to cat-proof their house, because the cats will get into things if they're bored and they don't like to be left alone a lot. So children are great, families are great, very active families are wonderful for Bengals.
The breed originates from Burma, was introduced into Europe in 1932 approximately, and then brought over into the U.S. after that. It's a breed that was almost eliminated in Europe during World War II, and then again a few outcrosses were brought into the breed to bring back the breed into the U.S. They're almost classified as a dog-like cat, a cat that likes to follow you around the house, loves lots of attention, very people-oriented cats. The cats that I bring to the cat shows, I do not cage. I let them run around in my car, and they love to be in the driver's seat, sitting with you. Again, they're a very good companion cat, so they're not a troublesome cat in the car, and they do travel well. They enjoy the trips out to the cat shows. All purebred cats, to my knowledge, are indoor cats, and with the diseases that are prominent in outdoor cats, we do not recommend any cat being an outdoor cat. They do like to talk to you when they want attention. They will speak to you in their own distinctive little voice. But it's not an annoying type of meow, very, very soft in tone, and very lovable sound out of this cat. All our cats are bred within the household, and we have found that the Burman cat is very, very sociable. It likes attention from everyone in the family. It's not necessarily a one-person type of cat, like you will get some breeds that will attach themselves to one person. This is a cat that loves to play, especially with some of the cat toys that they have out there. It's an enjoyable time to play with the cats, and they like to participate with everybody. They can be manhandled, so to speak, and they enjoy that type of rough housing and playing, and a child can be like that at times, and with their temperament they take a little bit of abuse from kids, but they do love the play. Our cats get introduced to many different types of households with a variety of animals, not only cats of the same breed but of other breeds as well as dogs, and they adapt very well to new environments with other animals. A Burman doesn't have an undercoat like a Himalayan or a Persian, so it's classed as a very low maintenance cat. The brush just slides right through the hair. Even though it's classed as a long hair cat, combing them is very, very easy. It picks up all the loose hair, and really a Burman is a cat that doesn't need the attention as far as the grooming aspect goes, as a lot of long hair cats are. Ideal owner would be anyone that likes cats, likes to have attention, likes a cat that participates, In outings, we've sold cats to people that have their cats on boats, sailboats. So any person that wants the company of a cat would make a fine owner.
The breed is a very old established breed in England where the breed came from, and they were just brown tabby street cats, and after the First War they nearly lost them all, and the Persian breeders took them on because they like the body type, and this is how you get all the different colours. It's at least 100 years old. They were just natural street cats. They're laid-back cats, they're quiet and affectionate, but they're also very playful as kittens. They like to help with whatever you're doing, and they get on really well with other animals, children. I have quite a few adults at home, and they all help me. They come to bed with us. They are teddy bears that purr. They're beautiful. One of my females that I brought from England with me talks. I have a friend that calls, and she knows when it's her that's on the telephone, and she has to talk to her. Some are vocal, some are not. They're not vocal like a Siamese or an Abyssinian, but they talk. Sold kittens to people with children, dogs, birds, anything. They get on really well. It's definitely a good family cat. It gets on well with small children, adults, other pets in the house, established pets, new pets that come in. I've sold kittens to people with a bird that flies free in the house, and as far as I know, this was 3 years ago and the bird is still alive. They get on really well with everything. There's not much grooming with a Brit. They shed roughly twice a year, spring and fall, when they're losing their winter coat and getting their summer coats in. But just a normal hand grooming and a soft brush is enough. There's not a lot of grooming. They're an easy care cat. It doesn't matter whether you're an active or a sit couch person. It doesn't really matter. They'll come and sit with you. They just like affection.
Well, the Brimilla originated in England in 1981, and it was an accidental breeding between a Burmese and a Chinchilla Persian. And the British liked the breed so much they entered into an organized breeding program. It's new to Canada. We imported the first Brimillas 3 years ago. In England, the Brimilla is actually called an Asian cat. That's the grouping, and every time you get a different pattern on the coat of the Brimilla, the British have named it a different breed. So you have like an Asian Self. It's a solid colored cat that looks like a Burmese. You have a Smoke that is basically 75% color, 25% silver, which looks like white if you run your finger backwards over the coat. You have a Shaded, which is about 50% color, 50% silver. And then you have a Tipped, which is about 75% silver and only about 25%. They also come in all the tabby patterns. So the Brimilla, as we call it in England, is only the shaded version. We don't deal with the term Asian. We call them all Brimillas, and they come in short hair as well as long hair. They have a personality that is very similar to the Burmese, because the origin was a breeding between a Burmese and a Chinchilla Persian. And in developing the Brimilla breed, rather than just continuing with that first generation offspring and breeding Brimilla to Brimilla, you breed down 4 generations. And so in the first 4 generations, you breed back to the Burmese 3 times. And that is to ensure the Burmese body type and temperament. What becomes unique to the Chinchilla Persian, if you wonder why did you breed with it in the first place, you get a lot of genetics from it, and you get the different colors, the pattern, and the genetics for specifically silver and the color black, which doesn't come in Burmese. The Brimilla is a very easygoing cat that likes to be with its people, and so if you're going somewhere, your Brimilla wants to come with you. Very good with kids, very good with other animals. They get along quite well with dogs, especially if they're introduced into the house as kittens. They're a little less talkative than the Burmese. like the Burmese, they will have all those characteristics, and they will probably be long-lived cats for 20 years. The breed originated in 1981, so you're just coming up to 20 years now. So most of the original Burmillas are still living. The ideal owner is someone who wants to interact with their cats, maybe likes to play. It's a cat that will sit on your lap quietly and sleep if you're watching TV or reading, but it's also a cat that will run around the house and play, especially if you're doing that or another animal. So it's both those things. But ideally, the Burmilla, like the Burmese, should be with another cat. They can live as only cats, but they do really, really well as companion cats with another animal, especially another cat. The Burmilla is a great breed to own. You've got a Burmese cat in a fancy coat.
The Color Point Shorthair is a hybrid breed. It originates from a Siamese cat bred to a registered American Shorthair Tabby Point, which means it has striping on it. The original Siamese breeders decided that they'd like to see a cat with some barring on the tail, on the face, and on the legs. So about 50 years ago, this is the breeding they did. Now you can breed, that's a lynx point by the way, and now you can breed only color point to Siamese or color point to color point to get the barring on the face, the legs, and the tail. So it's a man-made breed, but it's out of two registered cats. The Color Point Shorthair to live with is very similar to a Siamese, since the American Shorthair gene has pretty much been bred out of the cat, so the personality is of a Siamese. The blue eye color, etc., are the Siamese, and it's vocal as in the Siamese. It likes people, it does well with animals, it does tend to be very active, can get bored on its own. It also, like the Siamese, will retrieve. I can throw a piece of crumpled up paper, and until I get tired, the cat will bring the paper back and keep having it thrown at it. So it is a very active and interactive type of animal. Virtually no grooming. They're very low on dander, very low on shedding. I don't like the term hypoallergenic cat, but if someone has cat allergies or pet allergies, a Siamese cat they tend to do, and a Color Point they tend to do very well with. Several of my cats have gone to homes with children with allergies, and there's never been a problem. They don't need to be bathed. I bath them just before a show, but that's the only time they get bathed. And because they're so short-haired, they really don't need brushing at all. So very low maintenance. They tend to live 15 to 20 years. They've picked up that side of the genetics from the Siamese breeding. American Shorthairs, which was a founding breed, do tend to live to about 15 years, so they pick up a long life. It's an excellent family cat. It relates well to anyone of any age, from a 2-year-old up to a retired person. More active cats I would probably slate with someone with younger children. One that's a little more shy and retiring I would put with a slightly older person. They do well with pretty much anyone, whether they are on their own or whether they have a large family group or other animals in the home. They are a pretty good cat to have around.
The breed originated from Cornwall, England. What happened was it was a genetic mutation of a farm cat. It was a litter of kittens. There were 4 kittens born in the litter, and one had curly hair. And the mother was going to take that kitten, get him neutered, and give him to her daughter. But when she took him to the vet, he realized it was a mutation, and then what they did was they bred it back to the mother and got more curly-coated kittens. Now at the same time, the Devon Rex cat came along. The same thing happened in the litter, and they tried breeding them together, but they only got straight coats, so that 2 different genes. So both breeds originated about 50 years ago. So it's a pretty new breed. They are the closest thing you're going to get to a dog without walking them, and then even though they'll walk on a leash, they'll greet you at the door, they play fetch, they wag their tail when they're happy to see you. They're an everybody cat. They're always with you. They'll be sitting on you. They don't just go to one person, they go to everybody. As soon as someone comes in the house, they're on their lap, they're wanting to play. I have some that do answer you, and they'll go around the house and just meow at you, but most of them don't. cats, it's a great family cat because it'll go to everybody, and they really love children, and they love playing and interacting with everyone in the family. So right now we have, I call them 2 dogs and a bit. We have 2 Bouviers, a long-haired Chihuahua, and they get along great. I've got some in homes where they're with parrots and ferrets and rabbits, you name it, they're with them. For grooming, all you need is your hand, and you have 2 of those, and you just rub them down. The more you rub, the tighter the curl gets, or a car chamois, just a plain chamois that you would buy from a hardware store just to rub them down with. That's all they need. The Cornish Rex doesn't shed. A lot of people say they're great for allergies. Yes and no. A cat, doesn't matter what breed of cat it is, one with hair or without hair, they can provoke allergies just as severe as a regular cat. But because they don't have the shedding or it's like real hair, it is more tolerable for people with allergies. Any owner that loves a cat would love a Rex because they don't run and hide. You always know they're, because they're always with you and interacting with you.
It started in the United States with a CFA, a group of breeders and judges, and they decided that people were unhappy with the long coat of the Persian or the Himalayan because it knotted. However, they loved the type of the cat. They loved the big round eyes, they liked the little button nose, the short cobby body, and the little ears. But they didn't care for that coat that was a lot of maintenance, a lot of work. So they decided they needed a short hair but keep the body type and facial type. So they brought in 3 other breeds to use to create this breed called exotic shorthair, which was the British Shorthair, the Burmese, and the American Shorthair. They used these 3 breeds with the Persian to create a short-haired Persian, we'll call it. But it is officially called and registered as an exotic shorthair. The breed itself is 30 years old in that it was recognized for championship 30 years ago. They do not jump high, so they may jump up to your couch, up onto your bed. If they jump on your table, they should be scolded, and they will learn. They're very intelligent kittens and cats. This is why I was a Persian breeder and moved into the exotic because of the intelligence. You just point your finger and they seem to understand that you don't like what they're doing, and they'll stop what they're doing until you leave the room. These are purebred cats. All purebred cats are indoor cats, so they're strictly an indoor. They'd actually be quite frightened if they were left loose outside. If you talk to them, they'll talk back. So, like little sassy children. When they want to eat, they'll be over there talking to you, letting you know. You actually think you're talking to a child, seriously. The exotic really doesn't need to have a second cat in the home. They tend to really adore human beings more than another cat. So while they'll play with another cat, if they have their choices, they'd much prefer just having you all to themselves. Meaning if you have 2 of them and you're laying down, you'll have one here, pretty soon the next one up here, and pretty soon the next one up here, and another one here. They will constantly try to get above the other because they want to be with you and be top cat. Grooming is much easier than the Persian. However, you would take a warm, wet makeup pad to wipe the eyes once a day. That's to prevent any drainage that they might get, which is generally a rusty color and or clear tearing. Okay, it should not be excessive because that would mean that it was irritated more than anything else. Combing is just, maybe 2 minutes you'd have an exotic comb. You'd comb everything upward towards the head. If you're combing the chest, it's upward. If you're combing the back of the body, it's upward towards the head. That makes the hair stand straight out like a little pom-pom ball. And the older they get, the thicker the coat gets and the shinier it gets. The more you comb, the prettier they are.
A lot of books will describe the breed as dog-like because they're very much into wanting to be with their humans. I think the personality of the Burmese is one of the things that makes it a very desirable cat for families. They're very, very good with children. It's the kind of cat that a child can dress up and cart around the house. No more than once a week. I don't think they should do that daily. But they are very, very good. And they're the kind of cat that they won't stay, if children are harassing the cat will just go away and hide rather than scratch. They travel very well, especially though if you get them as kittens and you put them in a carrier. The key to a well-traveled cat, we found, is as a kitten, if the cat goes somewhere other than to the vet, a ride to the cottage or somewhere else, then you've got a cat that travels well. We recommend that all purebred cats stay indoors. Probably one of the basic reasons for that is genetically they've been bred for generations as indoor cats, so a number of them have lost some of the street smarts that they would have. The other thing is you expose your cat to a lot of diseases. The immunization program that you do annually only covers you against some of the more well-known or common diseases, and your cat there's a lot of outdoor dangers and things. Short hair cats shed a little bit less than long hair. I believe the only cat that doesn't shed is the Sphinx because it doesn't have any hair. But if you brush your cat during the spring and later early summer, that's the high season for shedding because it will pick up a little bit of an undercoat in the wintertime for protection, and so it sheds. They also shed when they're nervous. So at a cat show like we have today, your cat will shed more as well. The Burmese and the Burmilla are very talkative cats. They're Oriental cats, that's their origin. So like the Siamese, they like to interact, and part of that interaction, it's not just following you to the food dish, it's talking to you. They are long-lived cats. The Burmese can well live into their 20s. To have a cat that's going to look pretty and sit on a window ledge somewhere and never interact with you, that's not the Burmese. They're not particularly a quiet, low interactive cat. They run, they play. If you have two of them, you'll never need to watch television again because you can watch your cats every evening instead.
They originated in England about 1930, and they've been perfected to the look of the breed now, which is very short hobby bodies, very short nose. The first breed was originating from a Siamese crossed to a Persian, and now the only allowable outcross is back to the Persian to keep the short cobby body look. They're very laid back, very docile, very owner dependent, very quiet cats. They make excellent apartment cats because they are not very vocal. They are very chirpy little voices actually. Very much Persian temperament, very much a lap cat. Because of the long coat and the very owner-dependent personality, they really are not an outdoor cat that would know how to look after themselves. They normally do travel very quiet, very good. As I say, that's the temperament of the cat, so they're not easily stressed. They don't mind different environments. They travel 2 and 3 hours to shows, go through a 2-day show and go home again. And they make excellent cats for seniors who don't want a very active, loud cat, especially if they're in an apartment building. They adapt very well to other animals, dogs and cats. They shed the same as any cat would, but they shed their hair in little clumps instead of, like you may pick up a short hair cat and just be covered with hair, where Himalayans shed in clumps. And that can be controlled by good grooming, at least thorough combing 2-3 times a week, and bathing your cat at least every 2 months. Show cats are bathed more often than that, but basically it's the grooming and good nutrition. The average life of a Himalayan is from about 12 to 15 years, and some actually, there is one show judge that had one that was 18 years old. So again, it depends on, how well you look after them, and keeping them indoors is the big secret. To me, the ideal owner would be, first of all, a person that really loves cats, that does some homework and understands the breed that they're buying. If they want a very active cat, then a Himalayan isn't for them.
The Manx it's a natural breed, and it's one of the oldest breeds, and it originally was found on the Isle of Man, which is in the Irish Sea. The main characteristic of the Manx cat is its taillessness And the taillessness is what nature gave us. So the cats on the Isle of Man are without tails. The Manx is hundreds of years old. It's a natural mutation. So they've been around long before people started breeding and noticing these different breeds. So there's dog people and there's cat people, and we each like our own species for specific reasons. So the Manx are very dog-like, and the characteristics which would associate that is the fact that they're companion animals and they tend to follow you around. They don't necessarily like to be picked up, but if you sit down, they're on your lap within moments. They will tell you when somebody's at the door, they will tell you when something is amiss, and they will definitely let you know when it's time for their food or when it's time for their catnip. If I wouldn't call them an active cat, no, but I don't want you to think that they're lazy either. They have their definite playtimes. One thing I like about the Manx is they're floor cats. They're very solid, very heavy cats. So they hang around on the floor, they get up on the chairs, on the table when I'm not home. But generally speaking, they exist in the lower part of the room, which I really like. So they're good companion animals. They really bond with their family, and so that means when company comes over or when you want to really show them off, they're nowhere to be found. So they bond with the whole family, and they're very good with families. I'm a groomer in this town. I groom dogs as well, and I have Manx cats in my shop, and they are not afraid of dogs at all. So they don't really need a lot of grooming, but they do have a double coat. They're one of the few short-haired cats that do, so they will shed a lot. But they're very easy to groom. It's just a matter of combing them out every now and then and removing the undercoat for the pet in the home, because it's the undercoat that they ingest and would cough up as a fur ball, and it's the undercoat that they leave on the furniture. The long hair version, the Kimrick, is about the same. The only thing is with the longer hair, they tend to sometimes soil a little bit easier and whatnot. But the long hair does not mat, so that is one good feature. An occasional bath and dragging the comb through the hair, much like I do with mine, is all they need. The ideal owner is somebody that wants to communicate with their animal. It's not for the person that just wants a cat to sit pretty. Those people should have ceramic cats that sit on their mantelpiece. The Manx cats talk. They are very expressive, and they do talk a lot. So the more you talk to them, the more they will talk to you. Quite often they're the type of cat where they want to be the only animal in the house and the only cat in the house, and if they are, they will be on your shoulder, they will be on your lap, they will talk to you constantly and let you know what it is that they need.
It originated by mistake. A woman was trying to invent a new kind of Siamese, an Abbey-pointed Siamese, and she tried that by breeding a seal point Siamese to an Abyssinian, a ruddy one. That's with the black spots on every hair. And the first litters were phenotypically Abyssinian. But as she tried and tried again, she finally got a spotted kitten. That wasn't what she was looking for, but this was something neat. It was a wild-looking cat that people would enjoy with no wild blood. So she also introduced another breed, the American Shorthair, and by introducing that, she got the silver color and the striping and the placement of the spots. So it's still a fairly new breed. That was 1964, and they're very robust, meaning like they're strong cat, because they got the best out of the three breeds, the American Shorthair, the Abyssinian, and the Siamese. They got the best out of everything. They're very dog-like, where they'll fetch, they'll come when they're called. They hate to be alone, so I suggest people have other pets, birds, dogs, cats. And if they're away a lot, I sort of tell people don't buy one, because they really hate to be alone. Oh, they travel like a dog in a car. I put a litter box behind the seat, and they'll travel up in the back window or up on my knee. They're very good travelers. This is an indoor cat. They're such great hunters that you would just lose them if you let them outside, and they may get hurt or hit by traffic or something, going after a bird or something. They're just so active and so athletic. Very talkative. Each one has a different voice. I can tell their voice from a different room. I know which cat is talking to me. If I call them, they'll answer and come running. I love their personalities. They love small children. I don't have any small children at home, but when people come to see the kittens, small children don't bother them at all. In fact, they're amazed. Like they think this is neat. Someone closer to their size, and they're very active cats. And so when a child plays and runs, that's what they love. They love to run 100 miles an hour and then stop and come and sleep on your knee, and then they'll go racing around again. They've been known to live 18 years. Very little brushing and grooming is required. A fine steel comb to get any loose hairs, and a soft chamois that you would use on a car. And that's all that they need. I just love the breed, and I've got a house full of them, and I keep saying, well, I'll keep one out of this litter, and I just have a whole house full of them. And my husband's slightly allergic. He sneezes a little and his eyes run, but he can't part with them either.
The breed originated in Persia. Actually, it was called Persia then, and many years ago. And I can tell you that the breed has been very much worked with, and the Persians we see today really have nothing to do with the original cats we found in Persia many years back. Persians are very laid back. They're very sweet cats, very gentle, very quiet cats. We tend to call them lap cats, basically, because they're very laid back. They're somewhat vocal, but very quiet, again, and they will respond to you pretty much as people. If you talk with them, they will answer back, but they're not as vocal as short-hair breeds. They travel extremely well. If I'm talking about my experience with them anyways, we travel many weekends in a row, sometimes 8-10 hours in a car. We also fly with them around, and we never hear them, to the point sometimes where you wonder, did I bring them? They're very quiet. It's an excellent family cat. They will play with young children very gently, and they're really an ideal companion for a family with children. I have some of my cats that have gone to homes where there were dogs, and they were not used to being with dogs, and they've adapted so well that it's like they'd always been around other animals. I keep mentioning that they're quiet, but they're also very playful, so when they do decide to play, watch out. They can be very active. As any other cats, they do shed, not more than any short-hair breeds. The only difference is that the hair being longer, it shows a little more, but they don't shed more than other breeds. They have to be groomed daily, they have to be combed, and their eyes have to be cleaned. But it's a very nice experience. It's a nice bonding experience for you and the cat to do that together. And if you start them very young, as most breeders will start them, once the new families get their cats, they're really easy to handle and they're very easy to groom. The ideal owner is basically someone who likes peace and quiet, because these cats are. A family is a very good owner as well, although they do require a little bit of grooming, so you need to, set aside about 5 to 10 minutes a day to groom them. But they're ideal pets for anyone, really.
The Ragdoll is a relatively new breed of cat. It was developed about 40 years ago in California in the United States. They're very affectionate, docile cats. They tend to be low energy. They are playful at times, but they are not climbers. They tend to be floor dwellers. They travel very well if they are trained to do so when they're younger, or if you take the time to get them accustomed to it. Ragdolls are strictly indoor cats, or should be. They, because of their friendly temperament towards strangers and other large animals, they wouldn't fare very well outside. They can stay by themselves, especially during the day. Most cats do tend to sleep during the day, and they're more active in the evening and early morning. So during the day it doesn't seem to be a problem. They're very quiet cats. Occasionally they will use their vocal abilities, but it tends to be a very quiet cry. It's a very good family cat if the children tend to be gentle. They have a natural affinity to large dogs, and they're very good with children. They don't display any sort of temper towards children or people or other animals. They live approximately 12 to 15 years is the average lifespan. They can obviously get much older given the proper care and good health. Traditionally, they come in 4 different colors and 3 patterns: the mitted, the color point, and the bicolor. And the colors are chocolate, seal, blue, and lilac. Minimal grooming. They have a semi-long overcoat, but they don't have an undercoat. Minimal shedding, and they don't knot. The ideal owner is a home type of person, whether it's a single person or a family. They really love children and dogs. So people who tend to be at home, who don't mind a cat that's following them around like a little puppy dog, that's the type of person that they'd be most happy with.
The Russian blue cat is believed to have originated in Archangel in Russia. It is what they term a natural breed. There is a folklore that said that they were hunted for their fur at one time. They were first shown as a show cat in shows in Britain in 1880. They were believed to have come from Russia over to Britain and then over to North America via merchant vessels. They're known to be in North America in about 1889. The Russian blue is a very people-oriented cat. It's a gentle cat, very quiet. They normally will not make much noise unless they want to be fed or they want your attention. They aren't necessarily a cat that will be all over you and bother you all the time, but they do like to be in the same room as you. For instance, if you're working on your computer and they're wanting to be petted and what have you, after you've put them down a couple of times, they'll go over onto a chair or whatever is comfortable closest to you, and then they will sit and watch what you're doing. Except when they're young and they play with one another. When they're playing, they will not be so concerned about being exactly the same room. But if you've been gone for too long, they will come and check to see where you are. You have them outside. Many things can happen outside to any cat. But a Russian, if he gets a surprise, may bolt and then not know exactly where he is. So they're better off as an indoor cat for that reason. But that's the only sort of idiosyncrasy that they have. They're very fast. I mean, if they move extremely fast. They're like greased lightning, as my husband would say. Most cats will travel fine if you train them from a young cat, and you do short trips to begin with in a cat carrier. I always recommend cat carrier only. Don't let your cats loose in a car. It's dangerous for them and it's dangerous for you if something sudden should happen. But if you start young, start with short trips and then do longer trips if you want to travel around. They can be leash trained. My daughter has one of my cats and it is leash trained to go out in the backyard. It's a very good family cat in that it is gentle. It likes to be with people. It's easy to take care of. It's got what they call a short double density coat, so it sheds very little. It will shed somewhat like all animals do at the end of winter. It's just a seasonal change that occurs. But basically a comb through their fur, clip their nails once a week, and they're a very low maintenance cat and therefore easy to look after. The Russian blues are not vocal. They will talk. They will talk to you a little bit. Sometimes they will trill, but generally speaking, they don't say too much to you unless, i.e., you've been too long getting the food down, or some of mine are trained that when it's bedtime, it's treat time, and if I don't get the treats out right away, I get a couple little chirps. But basically, they're not a cat that talks all the time. No, they don't like surprises, although they do get along well with children. My preference for placing my cats is in a household where the children are a little bit older, 6 or older, unless I'm happy that the parents are supervising the younger children, because young children can be very tough on a cat. And I would venture to say just about any breeder would say the same thing. So they pretty well suit most people, but as I say, I don't like to place them with a family with very young children.
From the name, you know this from Scotland. The folded ears is from the spontaneous mutation of the cats. So we are not putting any glue or anything to trying to glue their ears. When they give birth to the babies, almost all the cats are straight ears. But once they get into about 12 weeks old, the cats with the folded genes will fold their ears, but the rest will, will be straight out. So in Scottish Fold, we have both folded ears and straight ears cats. And also we have long hair and short hair, and people refer the long hair as a Highland Fold too. But in breeding program, both of the cats are very valuable because we have to breed a cat with a folded ear to a straight ears. So we don't do fold-to-fold breeding. If you are doing fold-to-fold breeding, you will have lots of diseases, genetics come from genetic. It can come with all the colors. You can have a pure white cat, or you can have brown tabby, silver tabby, whatever you can think of. They are quiet, soft. The cats are good with children, good with even dogs. They eat with the dogs and they sleep with the dog too. And they can quite adapt to the environment very well, even at the hotel room or at the show. They are not talkative, they are not vocal. They just have a very soft voice. Not like Siamese, they are very vocal and talkative, but usually they just meow at you and that's it. They are a good family cat because they can adapt to almost, I think, every environment, quiet, noisy, with children, with dogs or other animals. But they want to be accompanied. So what we also say is like if you have a cat around, so they have a company with each other, and they work very well with a company too. For the short hair, you don't need very much care of it because it's a short hair, so you just brush the cat sometimes once a week or before the show. And for the long hair, it will be the same brushing for long hair cats like a Persian and Himalayan. But if you're a cat lovers, you will love it because they have a cute round face and folded ears, and they look very cute, and they can adapt to your lifestyle very well.
The Siamese is a cat that originated in Thailand. It was at first a cat that was only allowed to be owned by the royalty, and then it gradually was exported out, I believe first to the British Islands and then to North America. So it's a cat that has been around for many, many generations. I tell people that if they want to have a Siamese cat, then they should not be looking for a quiet cat. It's a cat that's very active, very vocal, enjoys being around people, and it does do very well as a lap cat as well. It can be very protective of the owners. If it feels that an owner is threatened, it will basically sit on the owner's lap and not let any other animal or person around. They can tend to be a one-person cat, but will integrate well within the whole family, pretty much. They'll be protective in a whole family cat. Because they're so active, I tend to like to see them with another cat in the house or a dog in the house, because when they get too bored, they will go for your shears or try to knock things off just for looking for playtime. They do tend to like company with them, but it doesn't have to necessarily be another person. A lot of my cats do go to single family homes or single pet homes, and they do just fine. My cats travel with me to shows, obviously. We also, between home and our cottage, have a 3.5-hour drive. Usually no less than 4 or 5 go with us. If they didn't travel well, I couldn't tolerate that many cats in the car for that length of time, so they travel very well. My cats are all indoor, but I think they do better indoor because they are very territorial and protective. I think outdoors they're going to be getting in more scraps than some other cats would do. These are one of the longest lived breeds. They live an average of 15 to 20 years. I've had cats in my household. I have one now that is 19 years of age. They do tend to stay very healthy to that end, so you're not nursing an elderly cat for the last few years of its life. They do tend to live, as I say, average 20 years. I've had people come and buy kittens from me because they've lost a 22 or 23-year-old Siamese. They also do very well with other animals as far as dogs. We had a dog for 12 years, and we've been breeding for 18 years. And they don't seem to have any fear of any other animals. So I think they do very well with just about anything, human or animal. I think just about anyone could own one of these cats. As I say, if you're in an apartment where there are great restrictions on the noise level and animals, you might not want to get a Siamese because they do tend to vocalize. And so it may upset a neighbor. Basically, I think they would go very well just about with anyone.
The Somali is a long-hair Abyssinian, so the breed comes from a cross between an Aby and a long-hair cat, maybe a Persian or an Angora, and some others are saying that it's a natural mutation, but nobody can tell the truth, so it's a mystery for us. It's a very active cat. It's like Abby. So they like to run around the house. They are very curious, very affectionate. They love to see everything. You're doing something, they want to help. So you open the door, they want to see what's behind the door. You have a bag, they want to see what's in the bag. So they're always around you in the house. It's like some are calling them like they are like dog cats, you know. You're throwing a ball, they're bringing the ball to you. So they are for very active people. So they are like a complete cat. It's a good family cat, you know. It's good for children. They love everybody in the house. So they will love other cats. They will love your dog, your children. They are sleeping with you under the blankets. I have one cat at home who is taking a shower every day with me. So he's playing in the shower. So they are very good cats for family. They are very talkative. You're talking to them, they answer you, but it's not annoying, you know. They have a very little voice, a very small voice. But they like to talk, to chat with you. They know how to let you know what they want. If you are an active people, you will like Somali. The better owner for a Somali is a very active people who would like to play, who would like to see your cat run and climb everywhere in the house. You know, if you have cat scratching posts, they like to climb at them and to jump everywhere in the house. You're tapping on your shoulder and they jump in your arms, so you have to be very active.
The Sphinx is a mutation from the domestic. In the 70s, they discovered a hairless cat in a litter of normal kittens, and the breed was started from that. It's just an accident of nature that man has started. It's not that popular yet because it's not that well known. It's still a young breed. It's only been around for about 20-some years, and there are not very many breeders. So it's still a young breed when you compare them to other breeds, but they are getting better known. Now when we go to shows, at least people know what they are. They don't just stand back and say, "Ooh, what's that?" They need a lot of human companionship. They are very demanding in that they love to be picked up and cuddled and loved, and everything you do, they will need to help you. Some will even jump in the shower with you. They're very playful throughout their whole lives. They're a lot of fun. You have to be ready for the activity. They travel very well. Mine has traveled all over in the States and in Canada, and she just sleeps in her carrier. We do wash them. Some Sphinx, not all of them, but some Sphinx sometimes do tend to get a little oily, so you will need to wash those a little more often than others, but they should be washed regularly. They like to be felt clean, and then you will need to clean the ears. The ears do have sometimes a lot of accumulation of wax, so you clean the ears every 10 days or 2 weeks, and you clip the nails, and that's it. This is definitely an indoor cat. They are not to be left outdoors unless they are in some kind of a pen or a supervised area. A Sphinx is a friendly cat, will go with anyone. So if anyone sees the cat walking along the street and opens their door, they'll just, okay, I'm home, this is fine. So they would be stolen very quickly because people would also see the value by a Sphinx. It's evident. They're not overly talkative, no. They meow like an ordinary cat, and if they need, if they're hungry or whatever, they want to be picked up, they will meow, but they're not overly vocal. They are very dog-like. People that sometimes prefer dogs, but for some reason, they live in an apartment or whatever, so they tend towards go towards a cat, they will love the Sphinx because they'll follow them like little dogs and they'll help them, and you're always tripping over them because they're always want to know what you're doing. Definitely, it's a very good family cat. As I said, they love to play, so if the children want to play, and most breeders that I know that own Sphinx also have dogs, so they're very easygoing cats. They love everything. They're very happy with life. They're wonderful. Just because they're hairless does not mean that they are more susceptible to diseases or anything. They'll live 15 to 20 years, no problems, with proper care, proper nutrition, proper vet care. The ideal owner for a Sphinx would be somebody that is ready to spend time, because they are demanding. They are not the ideal cat if you leave them alone all weekend and just a bowl of food and we'll be back on Sunday night type of cat. They do need a lot of attention. If you work during the day, they'll get used to that type of lifestyle, but when you get home at night, be prepared to get on the floor with them and play and pick them up and love them. So any couple that's ready to spend time with their animal.
When choosing a kitten, either pedigreed or without registration papers, make sure the place where it was bred and born is warm, clean, and isolated, because dirt and cold are carriers of disease. Ask yourself if the kitten seems happy and if its weight is in proportion to its age. Check the eyes, ears, nose, teeth, coat, and abdomen for signs of infection. If you're buying a pedigree, ask for a vaccination certificate stating which shots have been given and when. To find the ideal companion, contact a reputable local breeder, a cat association, or a shop that specializes in cats. Or plan to come to a cat show where you can see many different kinds of breeds and talk to owners or breeders.